What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here, and I'm back from PAX, and I will make a video kind of wrapping up, sort of talking about PAX, and kind of also just an update for you guys of why I didn't make as much content there as I normally do. There was just a bunch of stuff going on, so I'll explain in that video. But while I was there, an article came out called "What's New with the Artificer in Eberron Forge of the Artificer," and I wanted to make a video while I was there, and part of again that reason was I actually forgot the cable that hooks my microphone up to my laptop and the little clip stand that clips on the top of my laptop to use my webcam. So I didn't really have a good way to do a camera or a good microphone, and I couldn't cobble anything together. I was looking to see what I could do, but ultimately it just didn't work. So that's why this video is coming out now. So anyway, if you like this kind of stuff, news coverage, convention coverage, product reviews, etc., consider subscribing to the channel. All right, so this is an article on the front page of D&D Beyond at the moment. So it says, "The Artificer returns as a true master of magical invention in Eberron Forge of the Artificer, with on-the-fly gadgeteering, a streamlined magic item blueprint system, and subclasses tuned for the new rules. The Artificer is more of a wonder worker than ever. In this article, we'll cover the key changes to the new Artificer you'll find in Eberron Forge of the Artificer. If there's a feature we don't cover, it remains unchanged or only saw minor tweaks. Presumably, this means from the last version in the Unearthed Arcana. It is set to launch on December 9th. However, if you have Master Tier subscription, you will have it tomorrow, the 25th, which means I will start full coverage. Then this serves as a sort of preview primer to let you know that the book cart starts tomorrow, as well as continuing to finish all the coverage of Forgotten Realms that we haven't got a chance to finish as well. If you have a Hero Tier subscription, you'll be able to access it on December 2nd. All right, what's new? Level 1 spellcasting. They can replace one cantrip on a long rest. The number of prepared spells is now fixed to match that current table, which is probably more in line with what we see in 2024. Tinker's Magic, new feature that replaces the old magical tinkering. You know, the mending cantrip, and as a magic action with Tinker's tools, create a number of useful mundane pieces of gear, rope, torches, caltrops, etc., that last until your next long rest. Uses per long rest are equal to your intelligence modifier. Okay, this is a little bit, if you recall, this is something that we covered a bunch that was kind of an odd choice where they were like giving you the ability to make mundane items and then they were only temporary. And that was something that kind of got a lot of people upset because it was just like, if they're good at crafting, why can't they craft things? Why do they all have to have a time limit and be temporary? So these now last until your next long rest, which is at least something. I had said, like, my suggestion was a limited number of uses, and that, when you were to cast a new one, like, if I wanted to make a piece of rope, I could have that rope if I was within my number of my, intelligence modifier times. So if I had rope, say I made 5 things of rope, I'd have 5 things of rope. If I went to go make a 6th thing and that was a caltrop, then it would remove one of the pieces of rope. This, I guess, is kind of a middle ground, so either way. Replicate magic item. New feature that replaces the old infuse item system. Learn plans for crafting magical items by level tiers. Create one or more magic items after a long rest from plans you know. Attune instantly if required. Okay, so instant attunement as part of this is kind of a nice feature. Create one or more magic items after a long rest from plans you know. We'll have to see what this looks like because the removal of infusions entirely bugged a lot of people, so we'll see if this feels like a good sort of replacement step. Remember, we're also trying to bring this from its old kind of origins in Eberron to where it is currently in the 2024 rule system. Subclasses, we now have 4 subclasses. Cartographer is added as a 5th subclass to Alchemist, Armorer, Artillerist, and Battlesmith. At level 6, we get Magic Item Tinker, new feature that replaces tool expertise with benefits that expend your replicate magic item feature. Okay. Charge magic item, expend a spell slot to restore charges in a replicated item. Drain magic item, dismiss a replaced item to gain a spell slot. Or transmute magic item, swap one replicated item to another one once per long rest. Flash of Genius 7 now triggers when a creature fails an ability check or saving throw. This kind of follows the update to like what we saw with how Bardic Inspiration is used. When you dole out Bardic Inspiration now, it can only be used on a failed roll, as opposed to you just kind of preemptively using it and hoping for the best. Now Flash of Genius isn't just like, hey, let me boost you up by 5. It's, hey, oh, you failed. Let me maybe turn that failure into a success. That makes sense to me. Magic item adept at level 10. You can attune to 4 magic items at once. Reduce crafting time / cost benefit enveloped into Tinker's Magic feature. Okay, we'll have to see what that looks like. Spell storing item at level 11. You can now store an Artificer spell up to level 3 that casts as a magic action from the item and can no longer have a material component that is consumed. Wait. Can now store an Artificer spell up to level 3 that casts as a magic action from said item. Okay, so that's what that is, and it says can no longer have a material component that is consumed. Does this have a link to something? Oh, this is down below. Okay, we'll keep going. Advanced Artifice at level 14. New feature that envelops part of the old magic item Savant and adds an additional benefit. Refreshed Genius. Gain a use of Flash of Genius when you finish a short rest. Removes the ability to ignore class, species, spell, and level requirements to tune item. Wait. I don't understand that. Does that mean it removes, like, you now can attune to those things, or does it now remove that as an ability that you had previously? Maybe this is explained. We'll keep reading. Master Magic item, no change at level 18. Epic Boon, that's fine. And then Soul of Artifice at level 20. Reworked the to grant the following benefits. Cheat Death. When you drop to 0 hit points, you can dismiss an uncommon or rare replicated magic item to gain hit points equal to 20 times the number of items you dismissed. And Magical Guidance. Regain all uses of Flash of Genius after a short rest, as long as you're attuned to 1 magic item. I don't love that being a level 20 feature. That whenever they gave you the ability to get 1 back at 14, you probably should just got all of them back. But all right, let's see. Okay, spellcasting. Like other spellcasting classes, the Artificer can now swap a cantrip out after a long rest. Now you can even tailor your repertoire of cantrips for what you expect the day ahead holds. Tinker's Magic, level 1. This replaces the old magical tinkering feature and dramatically expands the possibilities for your artificer's crafting. You know mending and can fabricate practical adventuring gear as a magic action while holding Tinker's tools. They last until the next long rest. Great for on-demand things like ball bearings, rope, or grappling hook. Uses per long rest equal to your intelligence modifier. Replicate magic item at level 2. One of the cornerstones of the Artificer class, the Infuse item feature has been reworked into Replicate magic item. Now, instead of infusions, you learn plans for magic items by tier level, 2+, 6+, 10+, 14+. The end result is a vast expansion of choices. And don't worry, if your Artificer relied on their Boots of the Winding Path or a light crossbow with repeating shot, these have been added as magic items included in Eberron Forge of the Artificer that can be created through the Artificer's new Replicate Magic Item feature. It is still, features also still interacted with at high levels. Not only can you create more powerful items, but you can still store spells in them and utilize their magic to recover from grave injuries. All right, subclasses, we know what those are. Magic item Tinker at level 6. Is a new feature that replaces tool expertise and supercharges your replicate magic item feature into a flexible, fine-tunable loadout. At this level, you gain 3 benefits for managing your replicated magic items. Charge magic item, restore charges in an item by expending a spell slot. Drain magic item, dismiss a replicated magic item and gain a spell slot once per long rest. Or transmute magic item, swap 1 replicated item for another plan you know. Together, these options offer untold creative possibilities. The charge magic item and drain magic item let you balance your magic item armaments with spell resources. The charge magic item can also be an incredibly effective way to utilize your spell slots through magic items. For instance, you can create wing boots with replicate magic item at level 10 and expend 1 charge, giving you a fly speed of 30 feet for 1 hour. If you use your charge magic item with a level 2 spell slot, you'll gain 2 charges, which is akin to being able to cast a fly spell for a level 1 spell slot, plus no concentration required. That's good, actually, way of framing this to make this make sense to people. And that's just the beginning. Think of everything you can do with the transmute magic item, allowing you to create a vast array of magic items at a moment's notice by using a magic action. Again, these are good things. They're kind of tapping into that concept of you being able to pull out a tool for whatever situation, so I like that. Spell storing item level 11. The new spell storing item keeps the core fantasy of empowering you and your allies with efficient spell casting, but expands your flexibility by allowing you to store up to level 3 spells. It remains the same in the sense that any creature holding the item can cast the stored spell with a magic action using your spellcasting ability modifier, which is an excellent way to hand out borrowed spellcasting to the party. Keep in mind that this comes with one caveat. The spell must not require a material component that is consumed. So no revivify, but yes, fireball. Meaning you can't. Yeah, so revivify consumes a diamond worth whatever the amount is. So that won't work because the magic item is consumed, but Fireball, which does not consume the magic item, can be stored. All right, Advanced Artifice replaces the old magic item Savant and shifts focus away from bypassing magic item requirements toward enhancing your Flash of Genius ability. Now you regain a use of this feature after a short rest, further preparing you for any adventure to come. You get to attune to up to 5 magic items at once with this feature, meaning you'll be a walking, talking magically. We give you one short rest recharge of Flash of Genius and remove the ability to use magic items regardless of requirements. That's terrible. If that's truly what this means, that's awful. So, again, without diving too much into the backstory, as this is just kind of a preview on this, kind of looking at this table up above. So, previously, one of the unique options for the Artificer, which is now also kind of shared with the Thief Rogue, which also, if the Thief Rogue has it and your whole thing is magic item creation and usage, it feels like it should also apply to the Artificer, was the ability to ignore class, species, spell, and level requirements to attune to magic items. Now, granted, 5e's done a lot in 2024 to remove a lot of that, but, like, let's say, there's, like, an item, this is more 2020 or 2014 sort of vibes, but, like, the Dwarven Thrower, let's say, needs to be attuned by a dwarf, right? Well, you could be an elf artificer and use a dwarven thrower because it allowed you to ignore that species requirement. Or if you wanted a Holy Avenger longsword, and that's typically only usable by a paladin, you could ignore that class level restriction to wield the Holy Avenger longsword. Now, obviously, if you have a paladin in the party, you're probably going to give it to them. But this also helps if your DM is a big fan of rolling magic items that are at random. This is actually pretty useful for you because randomly rolled magic items means you may get stuff that don't benefit your party, right? If you don't have a bard in the party, but a bardic instrument comes up on a magic item roll or something like that, your artificer could use them at level 14 because they could ignore the fact that it required to be attuned by a bard. Or if there was a certain spell requirement, you need to have this level of spells or be able to cast such a spell or whatever it might be, that felt really good as an artificer that you had that to look forward to because it allowed you to add infinitely more utility to what you could do to help the party out in a variety of situations. With your ability to tune to multiple magic items beyond what normal characters can, you could, in fact, like if you got access to like prayer beads or a staff of healing, something that's not typically usable by an artificer or maybe not even by anybody in your party, you could now step in as an off healer or perhaps even the primary healer because of the fact that you're able to attune to these magic items. And that was a function of what is now called Advanced Artifice, which used to be called Magic Item Savant. They removed that to give you one flash of genius back on a short rest. How is that even remotely comparable? That's ridiculous. Now, if it was all uses of Flash of Genius back on a short rest, that's at least something, but that's still very minimal in the grand scheme of things. Most things that start off with something that recharges on a long rest and then they get it shifted to coming back on a short rest happens at like level 5 or 6. And for that, I'm thinking like the Bard gets all short rests come back, or Bardic Inspirations come back on a short rest at level 5. Light Domain Cleric gets all warding flare uses back on a short rest at level 6. You get one usage back at level 14, and then your level 20 benefit is you get them all back. That's so dumb. Okay, let's keep going. We have Boon of an Epic Boon, okay? And then Soul of Artifice at level 20. The new Capstone provides 2 benefits, Cheat Death and Magical Guidance. Cheat Death triggers when you would drop to 0 hit points. You can disintegrate any number of uncommon or rare magic items you made with Replicate Magic Item, and your hit points instead become 20 times the number of hit points restored in this way. This returns your own inventions into it turns your own inventions into a massive cushion of emergency healing. The main thing you'll have to keep in mind is which of your replicated magic items are the most expendable and how many are you willing to expend each time you go down. Magical guidance provides extra survivability to complement your tactical genius. As long as you're as long as you're tuned to one magic item, finishing a short rest restores all expended uses of Flash of Genius. That means in an adventuring day with regular short rest, you can lean hard on Flash of Genius to turn failed saves and checks into successes. But if you expend all your replicated magic items on the cheat death benefit, you'll be left hurting. They also kind of conflict one another. I do not like this capstone at all. I really liked kind of the old school one where it lets you attune to another magic item, and then, like, you got a bonus to, like, was it bonus to all your saves equal to the number of magic items you're attuned to? Now, I've said before that I don't like the concept of you just destroying your magical creations to be able to keep you alive. Now, they did limit it to uncommon or rare, which are typically going to be things that maybe you either have on hand. They're also limited to only the ones made by replicate magic items. So it's not like if somebody gives you a magic item to attune to, you could destroy like somebody else's loaned magic item. It's only ones you can create by yourself. So that's something. And it gives you and again, it's not limited to like once per long rest you can do this. The limitations of how much you can use cheat death are based on the number of items you have to burn. But chances are you're only going to be able to do this about once per long rest because you're probably going to burn through a lot of your magic items that way. And that may be, a particularly powerful part of your kit, depending on what you have. And I don't know. I personally don't like the concept of the artificer just destroying magic items to keep themselves alive. It also doesn't really seem like it has like maybe it's just the wording as cheat death and stuff. Like maybe if they had worded it a little bit different about how it's essentially absorbing the power from the magic, the energy you put into the magic items to craft them, you're now returning to your body to keep you alive. I guess that's okay, but this is also effectively like a little bit of a stronger than a death ward capability that's at level 20, right? Barbarians get double their barbarian level back every time they roll a successful con save on what is that? Relentless Rage. The Oath of the Ancients Paladin get 3 times their paladin level back when they go down to 0 from their one ability. So, at most you're going to be attuned to what is it? 5 magic items, right? Is that what it is? So if you were tuned to 5 magic items, you could restore 100 hit points if you burn all 5 of your magic items that you're attuned to. Or no, I'm sorry, it doesn't have to be the number you're attuned to. It's just magic items that you've made with replicate magic item. Do we have a limit on how many you could make? Is there a table? Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it says how many you can make right here with replicate magic item. I'm assuming it's intelligence modifier, but I don't know. Maybe there's a table with a list and you could make more. If you could make like 12 magic items, then maybe this isn't so bad because at level 20, if you had 12, that at least gives you an opportunity to maybe burn some to get a big heal and then have some still in reserve. But the fact that the other level 20 ability is you get all Flash of Genius back on a short rest if you have a magic item that you're attuned to, and you have to burn magic items to use the other part of the level 20 feature. It's just stupid. If you're gonna give people Flash of Genius back on a short rest, either make it all come back on 14 or make it part of Magic Item Tinker or something. Make it a level 6 feature, I think. Don't make it a level 20. That is not a level 20 capstone feature. That does not feel good to me. Maybe I'm completely wrong, and maybe I'm just not thinking about it in the right mindset and I'm missing something. I don't know. But this does not feel like a level 20. This does not feel like twinned power word kill or power word heal. This does not feel like a +4 to 2 stat rolls, to 2 ability scores and increasing that. This doesn't feel like a paladin transformation. This doesn't feel like an extra turn or any of the other nonsense that the other classes can do when they hit level 20, or a 4th attack, right? This does not feel like that. Maybe I'm missing something, but I it's sad because a lot of people love the Artificer in concept, and we saw it come out, and it was only okay, and then people had some issues with some of the subclasses, and then it had a couple iterations in the Unearthed Arcana, And then the book got delayed even further, and this is gonna be the last release we kinda get for 2025, knowing nothing about what's coming out in 2026 at this point. We had heard about some, campaigns that might have been coming out, like something that was supposed to deal with the Red Wizards, something that was supposed to deal with Venger, all these things we'd heard about in one of these D&D directs or conversations, and then none of those we've heard anything about, if those are even still coming at this point. But to be the final release of 2025 and sort of the closing out of the official 50th anniversary sort of celebration over the past 2 years, again, realizing that 50th anniversary kind of spreads across 2024 and 2025. Maybe the subclasses really make it a lot better and, like, can make it hold its own, but this base class providing what we're seeing here doesn't really seem to be doing it for me. I think there's some good stuff, don't get me wrong, but I do think that some of this feels like it already needs fixing out the gate, and that's not what you want in a new class, especially if we're gonna start going down the route of maybe even introducing other new classes, like the fact that the Mystic or the Scion kind of made its own appearance at this point, getting new level 1 to 20 classes. If this is gonna be the first showing, now the only thing you could say is maybe this was largely in development before the old team left, and maybe now the new stuff going forward will have a full new team of designers that may be willing to do a little bit more, take a little bit more risks. I don't know, but this doesn't really feel like it to me. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. I'll have coverage on this book starting as soon as tomorrow once things start to launch, but let me know what you think, and I'll see you all next time.